us together dropping deeply into truth. That's what satsang means, is it's sangha is the association, the presence, the togetherness, and sat, of course, is truth. So it's together in the truth, in the presence of, in the association of that truth and of each other as we dive into truth. We begin with one of the questions that's come in advance from our family joining us from online. We stream it on a lot of different social media platforms each night, so we have a beautiful family joining in online. We start with a question from them, and then it's open to any questions that anyone here has. There's a microphone here in the center of the room. Don't be shy. Come and share your name, share where you're from, and then share your question. First of all, thank you. My transition from being non-veg to veg, meaning non-vegetarian to vegetarian, was very easy because of your satsang. Despite this transition, I'm trying so hard to be self-disciplined, but I'm not having much success. Please help. Transformation never happens just due to discipline. Discipline gets us into a practice. Our parents force us to brush our teeth every morning, every night when we're little kids, and we get into the habit. Now it's second nature. We would never dream of not brushing our teeth. But in the beginning, it was discipline. In the case of teeth brushing, it was our parents' discipline to keep reminding us. And then it became habit. When we take on any new change, it requires discipline in the beginning. But discipline is very hard to use to sustain a practice. The New Year's coming up. At the time of New Year, lots of people are going to make resolutions around their eating habits, their exercise habits, their meditative habits. And we need discipline in the beginning. When we're used to sleeping in every day, we're used to eating junk, we're used to sitting around like couch potatoes, it takes discipline to get us out of bed in the morning, to get us to meditate, to jog, to go to the gym, to eat vegetables instead of French fries. But for sustainable change, that which we are doing has to ultimately transform us on a level that it becomes automatic. The more salads you eat instead of French fries, the better your body actually feels. And slowly, you don't crave the French fries anymore. You crave that which is actually going to make your body feel good. Slowly, as you meditate, your life changes. How you think changes, how you feel changes, how you interact with others changes. You no longer need a strict discipline every day to get your lazy self out of bed and meditate because you want to. It takes on a life of its own. We have to look for that in the choices that we make. Otherwise, it's a constant struggle. And that level of discipline is really hard to sustain for an extended period of time. It works just until something becomes its own habit. with regard to vegetarianism, it depends why we go into it. If we become a vegetarian because a doctor has told us, hey, you better cut down on your animal products, your cholesterol's too high, or your triglycerides are too high, or your blood pressure's too high, and you better cut that out. It's going to be discipline. We're going to dream of French fries. Until, of course, our body starts feeling better. But if we do it for a reason other than because a doctor has told us, if we do it because that decision is in alignment, not with something we should do, but with something that actually matters deeply to us, it's going to be a lot easier. If I say to you, I want you to give 10% of your income to charity. Okay. A lot of religions do it. They call it tithing, 10% of your income. Now, that's going to sting and be really hard if it's just an amorphous, random thing of like, oh yeah, it has to just go to charity. But if your best friend, or your child, or your parent suddenly requires really expensive medical treatment, the idea of skipping the movies or the fancy dinner or a vacation that you were going to take so that you could have money to help them get through life-saving medical treatment, it would be a no-brainer. You would do it immediately. Difficult and requiring lots and lots of discipline until they mean something very deep to us. And with regard to vegetarianism, the way to make it a lifelong decision that flows easily is let it be something that you do because it is in alignment with something that matters to you. And the benefit, the great thing about vegetarianism and veganism is it actually doesn't matter what you care about. Because whatever you care about, there are great reasons that being a vegetarian is the best thing you can do for whatever you care about. If you care about the animals, it's obvious. If you care about world hunger, like do starving children in Africa or other parts of the world, does that bother you? Well, if it does, being a vegetarian is actually the best thing that you personally can do for them, unless you happen to have lots and lots of money to send them or to open up a branch of feeding the children in some city there or some country there. Because every time that we choose vegetarian food, we're freeing up grain for 15 people. It takes 16 times as much grain to produce meat as it does to produce vegetarian food. So for example, if I have 16 kilos of wheat, of rice, of corn, of soy, I can either produce 16 kilos of bread or pasta or rice or whatever I've got, cornbread, or I can produce 1 kilo of meat. And the reason for that is that The cows, the pigs, the chickens, well, they eat food. It's not like 1 pound in, 1 pound out. Think about yourself. Like, how much do we eat? And what happens to most of it? Most of it doesn't turn into fat. Most of it, we poop it out the next day. That which we don't poop out, we use. We use the calories for energy. All animals are the same. So what you're feeding to the animals, they're digesting. They're either pooping it out or they're using it for energy. And in order to get, finally, at the end of the day, when they're killed, 1 pound of meat, you have to put in 16 pounds of grain. So if you care about world hunger, by eating vegetarian food, you're freeing up 15 times as much grain. If you care about water, well, the meat industry, animal agriculture, is one of the single greatest contributors to the planet's water shortages. The amount of water that goes into the production of one meal of hamburgers, like you sit down with some friends for hamburgers, a couple of friends, or your family sits down for hamburgers, the amount of water that has gone into the production of that meat is the same amount of water that you use in bathing for 6 months. 6 months. And not bathing the way that we do in India, like you fill up a bucket and then you pour it on yourself. It's not the quick bucket bath like this. It's 8 minutes of water pouring out of a shower head onto you. Continual 8 minutes of water pouring every day. In 6 months, you will use the same amount of water that goes into that production of beef. Chicken is about 1/3. So chicken, the same amount you'd use in bathing for 2 months. If you care about climate change, global warming, well, the United Nations itself has said that animal agriculture, the meat industry, is the single greatest contributor of global warming. So whatever we care about, whether it's the animals themselves, whether it's children dying of starvation, whether it's the future of water on this planet, whether it's the future of a planet, going vegetarian is the answer. So let it really resonate as something that matters to you. Think about starving children. Think about desiccated fields and farmers committing suicide because their fields are dry. Think about people living in slum areas waiting for a water tanker to arrive to give them a bucket of water to last them for days for their whole family because there's no more water. Think about people killing each other in those lines for water because that's what happens. Every time we have these water shortages and cities have to rely on tankers, people die. Not just from thirst, which is obvious, but they literally die from killing each other in line to get water. So let the power of what you eat really resonate. You know, as I was talking today in the Arti about soil, because it's World Soil Day, well, vegetarianism is a critical aspect of protecting the soil as well. Animal agriculture is a hugely harmful practice for the soil. Through the way that their feed is grown, through the way that the animals are grazed, through the trees that are cut down, the entire practice contributes in huge amounts to the degradation of our soil. So allow yourself to figure out, what do I care about? And then every time that you have that instinct to eat meat, instead of thinking, oh God, I wish I didn't have to be vegetarian, I wish it wasn't something I should do. allow yourself to know that you're making a conscious decision. In the same way that you would so easily forego a movie or an expensive dinner or a vacation to use that money to save the life of someone you care about. Can you use our eating choices, our food choices, to save the planet? It's one of the most powerful ways we have. In many cases, it's the most powerful way that most of us have to actually make a huge impact on the planet. Yeah, great question. Other questions? Yes, of course. He's going to turn on the mic for you.
My name is Dheeraj Gupta and I am from Noida. It's always been a privilege to come here. I come here very often. I've been listening to all your, satsang words of wisdom almost every evening. And it really helps me, think about how life should be conducted in a better way. I'm deeply touched, and I really my sincere condolences for the passing of Mahamandleshwar Param Pujya Shri Swami Sagananand Swamiji Maharaj. I had the privilege to be under his blessings a couple of times. I've spent time with him, and he actually had shown me a couple of ways how one should meditate, how one should look at exploring spirituality. My question is very simple, because it's just about two-liners. If Brahm is Param Satya, how should we completely dissolve ourselves in our lifetime to completely commit it to Brahm and then just lose our control? Brahm and Satya.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
So just to translate some of those terms for those of you who may not be familiar, he said, if Brahm, or Brahman, we say, the supreme, ultimate, infinite reality, all of that which is, that existence, that consciousness, that bliss, the Sat Chit Anand, that Brahman is Param Satya, the highest truth. Well, then how do we dissolve ourselves in that? So basically, if the highest truth is that we are just that reality, and we know that we are. I mean, we have these beautiful Mool mantras that we're given. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. How do we dissolve ourselves into it? So you don't actually have to dissolve the self. The self automatically dissolves. All you have to do is connect with that truth, and the dissolving happens automatically. It's like that beautiful image of the salt doll walking into the ocean. Well, you don't have to get, a spoon and go like this. The salt doll is automatically going to dissolve as it walks into the ocean. Automatically. In the same way, when a drop of water hits the ocean, it's an automatic merging. It doesn't have to do anything. All it has to do is return to the ocean. And for us, the way to do that is through remembrance. We're not becoming Brahman. We are remembering that that is who we are, which means we are dissolving ignorance. We're not dissolving ourself. We are dissolving the ignorance that prevents us from knowing ourselves. There's a beautiful story of a Buddhist temple in I can never remember if it was Cambodia or Thailand, but one or the other. A beautiful golden Buddha statue that had been there in the temple for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And when the invaders came in, the monks of the temple of the golden Buddha were very worried because the invaders were stealing everything, looting everything, destroying everything, melting down all of the golden statues. And naturally, they didn't want the golden Buddha to be stolen, melted, looted, destroyed. So they covered it with clay. And the good news was the Buddha survived, but the monks didn't. And so there was no one there who knew that this clay Buddha was actually gold. And then one day, one of the monks in the temple of the clay Buddha was cleaning the clay Buddha. And there was a little crack in the clay, and he noticed something shimmering from the crack. And very, very carefully, he started cleaning like this. And the shimmering was more. And so he started clearing more and more and discovered that inside the clay there was gold. And I love the story. I have no idea if it's true or apocryphal, but I love the story because it's exactly the situation with us. We are Brahman. We are divinity. We are source. We are spirit. We are soul. We are consciousness. We are cosmic intelligence. Whatever word you use, we are that. But we have been covered up by metaphoric clay, false identification, ignorance, Maya, the games of the mind. When we embark on a spiritual path, what most of us do is the equivalent of looking for gold plating to stick on top of the clay. We've got this thing that we think is a clay Buddha. We want to make it gold. And so we go out looking for gold to cover up the clay. How do I become divine? Well, we don't have to become divine any more than the Buddha had to become gold. We have to remove that which blocks us from knowing the truth of who we are. To get to the gold, they just had to remove the clay. And so the question becomes, what is my clay and how do I dissolve it? Not how do I dissolve myself into Brahman, but how do I dissolve that which keeps me from it? Another way of thinking would be, you take your salt doll metaphor and you imagine that you've got a, wetsuit, a full body wetsuit on the salt doll. Well, it's going to prevent the doll from dissolving. Doesn't become a question of how to dissolve, it becomes a question of how to get this wetsuit off so that I can be in my truest state, which is an automatic experience of dissolving. And that clay that most of us have, that false identity, that's what we need to dissolve. And so that becomes our spiritual work. And we do it through practices of niti, for example, in meditation, but also in life. A lot of us have learned the practice as a meditation. But what I love is using it in life. Somebody says to you, "Oh my God, you're so smart, you're so wonderful." And the mind should go, niti, not this, not this. Somebody says, "You're stupid, you're awful, you're worthless, you're lazy." The mind says, niti, not this, not this. You look at yourself in the mirror, the mind says, "Oh God, you look great." Niti, not this. Neither am I the body that I think looks great, nor am I the one thinking that the body looks great, nor am I the one identifying as that. And we just keep in life, neti, not this, not that. Practices of remembering, meditative practices. These become our ways of peeling back. Looking when we sit to meditate. The voices of fear, the voices of desire, the voices of anxiety, the voices of all of our identifications. If you want to know what your clay is, meditate. Because suddenly it's like, it's right there. Right there. All your fears, all your desires, all your insecurities. If you watch the mind, it appears. It doesn't even do a good job of hiding itself. And then you know. And we start to peel them back layer by layer. Why do I identify as this? Why do I identify as that? Not my career. Think about all the sentences that you speak that begin with I am. Whatever you fill in the blank with after. An engineer, a lawyer, a doctor, a man, an Indian. There's all the ways that you identify. So-and-so's husband, so-and-so's father, so-and-so's son, so-and-so's brother. Think of every sentence that you speak that begins I am. And realize that's ignorance. Free yourself from them one by one by one by one until literally there is nothing left but just I am. When you get to the point of just I am, and then you start sinking even deeper, and then it's just am, amness, isness, by peeling back what you're not. So that becomes the practice. It's a practice of returning to self, not becoming something else. And of course, you can do it through Jnana Yoga. You can do it through Bhakti Yoga. You know, the traditional Advaita path is much more a Jnana Yoga path. But if you want to talk about quick and immediate dissolution of self into the divine, well, for many people, Bhakti Yoga is the fastest way because love just dissolves it all. You lose yourself in the love. You become the love. And then, of course, the lover and the beloved and the love become one. And there's no distinction. So you can get in any of those ways. But just choose a path and peel back what you're not. And then you'll realize you don't have to dissolve because you were already dissolved. You were never separate. That separateness is an illusion. Every time you feel separate, ask yourself, why do I feel separate? Aham brahmasmi. What is it that I want to dissolve? I mean, that's an interesting question, right? What is it that I want to dissolve into Brahman? Not my mind. My mind isn't going to dissolve. The nature of the mind, it doesn't dissolve. We have to free ourselves of it. The soul is already one. Soul doesn't have to be dissolved. Soul has never been anything but one. So the moment that you feel undissolved, ask yourself, what's undissolved? It's the mind. So then you just work with it. Beautiful. Yeah, other questions? Yes.
Radhe Radhe Sadhviji. I am Aditya from Sri Dham Govardhan. आपके चरणों में मेरा साक्षात दंडवत प्रणाम. My question is, what is moksha? And why I want moksha? And if I get moksha, where will I go?
Great.
Thank you.
You'll go to Moksha land. Moksha is freedom. That's the translation. I'm just playing the role of a dictionary here. Moksha means liberation. It means freedom. Freedom from what? Well, as we just discovered, it's the mind. The body is never going to dissolve into Brahman. The body is of the elements. It arose from the elements. It's going to be burned back into the elements. The mind cannot dissolve by its very nature. The mind forms an aspect of the subtle body. Manamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha. These sheaths are part of our sukshma sharir, the subtle body. But it's not soul. It's not truest self. It's a body that is not tangible, not visible, but is very much there, that travels with our jivatma from life to life until it is ultimately burned when we attain moksha. So that which is blocking us from moksha is not the body. It's the mind. This subtle body, the impressions upon our mind, upon our intellect. This is where the problem is. This is what lifetime after lifetime after lifetime comes with us. It's where our sanskars are formed, because the brain is burned. When we die, brain is over. What stores our sanskaras? The subtle body. So the actual moksha is attained not by having the physical body be burned, because then we just get another physical body. Lifetime after lifetime, this is the birth and death and rebirth. It is freeing ourselves of the subtle body, the impressions upon that mind, that intellect, that ego. So it's freedom from that. And that's why all of the practices that we do, the meditation, the prayers, the japa, the seva, all of them are very specifically engineered to purify our mind, our intellect, our egos, not just so that we're better human beings in this particular body, but to actually take us closer to that experience of moksha in this lifetime, so that when we finally drop the physical body, we attain that ultimate reunion, and the subtle body just burns off and dissolves. When you get moksha, where do you go? Well, you don't go anywhere, but the world that you live in changes, and it goes from quite literally being hell to being heaven. We don't believe in a heaven after you die unless you've created heaven here on earth. That where we go after we die is the exact result of, the product of, that which we've created here on earth. It's like, what do you get when you open the oven? Well, it depends what you put in the oven. If you baked something nice, when you open up that oven, you're going to have something nice. If you baked something rotten, when you open up the oven, you're going to get something rotten. It's just the nature of the game. It's not the oven itself, it's what you baked and stuck in the oven. In the same way, what we create is that which we get. So if we are living in a felt experience of life is hell, it's because our thoughts, our actions are creating that for us and are going to keep creating that for us. When we free ourselves of the desires, of the fears, of the ignorances, of the attachments, of the expectations, well, then not only do we ultimately end up with moksha when we drop the body, but we attain moksha right here on earth. And we become what's called jiva mukti, liberated while living. Then it becomes heaven, even in the body. Great. Yes, there was a, yes, please. Come. We'll take this as our last question this evening. Namaste.
And thank you so much.
Of course.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
If you have time.
Sure. Let's see.
Or maybe next time. The first one, we are coming for 2 years in this ashram. We just love it. And we love all your sessions. We learn a lot in this. And we attend Yagya every day, pretty much. We just love that atmosphere, the serenity when we do Yagya. The question is that why do we do Yagya? The Rishis has given Yagya that I know of. There has to be some reason to it.
Absolutely.
So we want to know the meaning and
Of Yagya, sure.
And the second question is, we do national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. And we also hear that Vande Mataram is also our national anthem. So what should we do? I mean, we do Jana Gana Mana all these years. So that is also our Rashtragita. We respect it and we adore it. So please.
Dono gaiyega.
दोनों गा सकते हैं.
Yeah, dono gaiyega. Yagya. It's a great question. We do a beautiful Yagya ceremony every morning here in our beautiful grove of sacred and ancient trees in our courtyard over here. We do it in the evening on the banks of Ganga. Yagya is one of the most fundamental and core rituals in the Vedic tradition. Ultimately, Yagya is a purifying ceremony. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting because purifying what? The core of who we are is pure, is divine, is inseparable from divinity. So it's not about purifying the self. And that's important to realize. It's not, oh God, make me pure. I am pure. It's a purifying of exactly what we've been talking about tonight. A purifying of ignorance, a purifying of false identification, a purifying of ego, a purifying of mind. Anger, grudges, pain, drama, stories, all of that fills our mind, telling us stories, lying to us about who we are, about what the world is, and therefore keeping us in separation and suffering. We offer that into the fire with a prayer that our minds should become pure. Our thoughts should become pure. It's also a beautiful ceremony of offering. Offering of ourselves to the divine. The mantras, so many of them that we begin with, end with idam namama. Not for me, but for you. Not for me, but for you. And so we offer in. We offer in, we offer in, and it's a reminder. Whatever I have, tanse, manse, danse, my resources, my energies, my abilities, my skills, whatever I've got, Let me offer that to the divine. That's the intention, through the samagri that we put in. It's a symbol of actually offering everything we are, everything we have to the divine, and recognizing that our role is just to be on the outside, offering it. In life, most of the time we want to be in the center. And the Yagya is a great metaphor, because you sit in the center, you get burned. Our role is to be on the outside, offering, offering, and offering. Another really beautiful teaching from it that I love is, the flames always go upwards. Why? Because the source of fire is the sun. Water comes down because the source of water is the earth, the ocean. Now, we can certainly use physics terms and we can talk about gravity and density and whatnot, but the phenomena of fire going up and water coming down existed long before anybody coined terms like density. And the reason that they exist like that is because everything's trying to return to its source. So fire's trying to return to its source by going up. Water's trying to return to its source by coming down. And when we look at the fire, especially on days that are really windy or stormy, because it's like even if the flames go like this, ultimately they're going up. And it's such a beautiful teaching for life, because our source is divinity. And it reminds us that we are meant to be returning to that source. And no matter how turbulent or stormy our life or our day or our current situation may seem, ultimately, just like fire, we are meant to rise and keep rising and keep rising and keep rising. So it's a beautiful metaphor to also just watch and see. So yeah, the fire ceremony is hugely powerful, deeply important. It's a daily opportunity to offer anything that feels untrue, impure, not real. Offer it back to the divine so that we rise from it back in our state of purity, of clarity, and then go on our day. Yeah, and by the way, it's open to everybody. Obviously, everyone's staying in the ashram, but even if you're not staying in the ashram, feel free to come join us. It's at 8:30 every morning, just right here in the courtyard. Come sit down at any of the Havan Kunds. There's no assigned seating or anything like that. Just come and join. Wonderful, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful day to our family joining us from online. And so much love to you all.